Oh, is that the only time you've seen it? Well, okay. I'm shocked. Welcome back.
Welcome, everybody. This is Ben.
And this is Ildi.
And this is the Random 2000s.
This is my stomping ground, all the songs I love.
And Ben, you just said like, oh my god, you only seen this once?
Yeah. And it was when I showed you it.
Yeah.
Because, you see, our lovely Ildi here is big fan of Produce 101.
Yes.
Especially the second season. Bro Juice 101, as I call it.
Produce 101, which is the na. Choose me. Pick me.
So energetic.
Pick me, baby, pick me up. I mean, honestly, guys, Produce 101, and I keep talking about Produce 101, and the reason for that being because the first season I watched was season 2, which 뉴이스트 was in, and I am a big fan of the format. Like, so I also watched this season because I think it's amazing television. It's such a feat to edit, obviously, with 2.5 hours of, showtime and everything, but I think it's just a brilliant format, and we should be grateful because it gave, a platform for newest to come back, whom we love, by the way, especially like the recent stuff. I'm a big fan. But we are not.
I'm into the old stuff because I'm an old man.
So we are going to watch something, old but, evergreen, I believe. And you described that this was one of the strongest...
one of the best debut songs in like K-pop history. Everybody knows this song. Like, especially if you're of an age like I am.
Of an age.
Well,
you say that you're 80.
If you got into K-pop back then, I guess. Like, you could have been a kid back then, but you know this. But like, this song was like the biggest K-pop debut for some years. I think for like several years until I think Twice came out or something. Some completely undeserving debut.
Oh, come on.
I'm just a bitter old man. Don't worry. Twice are fine. Whatever.
Before we get into any bitterness. Instead, let's watch something that will help us face the reality of greatness.
These segues, they're just getting better and better.
I'm working on these. Guys, I don't know. Here's the thing. People who watch this channel, my not so secret dream is to be like a TV presenter. So I'm working on these segues. But I only watched this song once when you showed it to me, and it was I don't know, a year ago.
Mind-blowing.
I was mind blown. So I need to watch it again. Okay, let's watch it.
Here we go. Oh, yes. We love schoolboys with pink gloves. That's what we love.
It always surprises me. Oh my god, this hair is amazing!
Oh, I just love second gen hair. It's the best.
Ren is the beauty.
Oh yeah, he was the centre of Boys' Day. Old school fans know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And that hand move. Oh yes.
The interesting case, all the people who are also just general people on the oh yes! Get him!
You're gonna mess up your hair, careful.
No.
It looks so perfect, don't do this. Whoa!
But they were very young,
They sold it though.
Even back then, probably, JR would have been my favorite. Nothing to do. Even the kids in the school are just idol material, by the way.
Yeah, of course. They're probably training to play this. Just love the dance for this song too. It's great.
Yeah, for half, or just watch me. Bursting Jackson.
Oh yes.
Oh, he had a big line here.
Oh yeah. Sell that bad boy styling.
We could do this dance. I hope they do this on the K-pop dance. Oh yes!
Yes! Oh god, I remember this bit.
I mean, JR is winning. This hair could be fashionable now, to be fair.
It looks too good to be fashionable now. Look at this. Look at his hips.
Yes. This
Look
is
at
just
this.
perfect. This is amazing. And the guy in the background with the mask.
Oh, I love
He's
it.
always singing.
Here we
Oh
go.
my god. He's like, hey mate, yeah.
Come on, lads.
We're
Let's go to the
this.
canteen, mate. Yeah.
We're owning this school.
Oh, yes.
I love like the kind of difference in the pacing of this. Sometimes it's just like they're just staring into the camera and like, hey, what up? Sometimes it's like the break dancing and the slow motion as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yes, the high notes.
okay, JR is amazing. Ooh, I became a big fan of Aaron as well in like the new era. The Goliath. Oh yeah! Oh. I mean.
Yeah, that's
this
right. We're
is-
newest. What are you talking about, mate?
This is just amazing. I think probably again I would like to apologize. Sometimes people comment like, "Oh, but why do you talk while you're watching a video or whatever?" And I know this is our style, but I think with this video you can understand our excitement and why we talked over it. So I apologize for people who got maybe annoyed by that. We just love it so much.
You're welcome to watch the original MV and then watch the talking afterwards if you want to. It's cool.
Yeah. So I mean. Jackpot. And like,
So
it's just,
what?
so what? I mean, that was very nice to be fair. Like the way you were singing "So What," that was good. Ben.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ben, oh my god, what a voice! You could do like some of like a demo version of a K-pop song. Like, so what? I mean, I have so many things to say, but why don't you start, Ben?
What is there even to say anymore? I mean, Newest Face is like legendary debut, right?
It's kind of interesting because obviously it has that same like electro pop, like that exactly second gen kind of vibe. But this song is somehow catchier than the rest. For some reason, like this is particularly catchy, and like the balance of the rapping and the singing is somehow
Perfect.
Yeah, it's just really good. And again, classic, the high notes we love from Beko, like it's just
That's my boy right there.
And again, it's kind of interesting with Nuez that they would have those vocalists who have just different voice tones, like all of them.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's quite a second gen thing, to be honest. Everyone just sounded weird. Like everyone had their own like odd timbre for their voice. It's the same if you look at like another band from back then. Like you look at any of the major boy groups like U-Kiss or like M Black or like 2PM or whatever. They all sound. You can tell who's singing a lot of the time, whereas now I find that quite tricky with some groups. It might just be the production, because I don't even find it as easy with Newest anymore.
And also, I think it might not be just the production, but I find that there is since the song kind of fit into one genre, they specifically either asked to sing in a certain way or trained to sing in one way. So it's kind of like maybe there is less place for individuality in certain groups. That's not always the case, obviously. But like you really love the No Air song from The Boys, right?
Yeah, I love that song.
I think that is a great song. I watched a performance on KCON New York, which by the way we should totally go to at 1-to-1 KCON. I mean, that's
too expensive.
and it's in New York. We have to get like a ticket as well.
The travel's too expensive.
But anyway, I'm not gonna give up on dreaming. But anyway, so it's like, what I wanted to say, like. I was almost thinking while I was listening that their voices are mixed in a very similar way, even in that song, and that is a great song. What else in terms of this second generation thing?
Dubstep break, because
Dubstep
2012, that's what we did in 2012. Every song needed a dubstep break. That was like the like trapped hi-hat of 2012, you know? Mm-hmm. Everywhere. Dubstep break everywhere.
I think isn't it like Nuez was very young when this came out, right? They were like they were really.
Well, this was their
young.
debut.
This was the debut, but meaning that they were teenagers, right?
Yeah. They're pretty. I don't know how old exactly they were, but they were young. Yeah.
They were definitely young because when I watched them on Produce 101, they were still like 23.
Yeah.
Like 24 or
I
something.
think Ren especially. He's their magnet, isn't he? Right? He must have been really young back then. I'm pretty sure.
And again, it's kind of interesting to see like the styling of this. It's almost like goes to the far end of things. It's just gonna be somebody's gonna be a tough boy, and you're gonna be like
like dreads on one side and a giant fringe and like
yeah, exactly,
pink spiky knuckle guards.
And if somebody's gonna be a pretty flower boy like Ren, that
they're gonna go full Ren.
Then they're gonna go full Ren. Like maybe you're using Ren as an adjective.
Well, that was the thing. Like Ren was like quite a popular guy back then because he was like one of the main guys people would meme on and be like, "Oh look, you'll never be as pretty as Ren," like because he was so known for being feminine.
Yeah. I've seen like after that, I basically after Produce 101, I rediscovered NÜIST and like really loved the recent stuff, and then like watched somebody I think A Love because that's their fandom name put together like a 1.5 hour documentary basically that I watched. Really well done, like really well done documentary style of video about like how NÜIST, what happened with them in the past couple of years, and like how they came about basically, and like what happened and how they reached the point where they are now. AKA when she did that was still 2017, and I mean A, struggles were real. B, they promoted everywhere, basically Japan and China, etc. And also the other interesting thing was Ren particularly made some very progressive and forward-thinking statements all the time, and people asked about like, okay, so you're wearing this, you're wearing a skirt, your hair is like that, and then he did not stand for any criticism, and B was very supportive of all sorts of thoughts and every sort of thinking around the gender and fluidity, and so I was very impressed because that was 2012 you see when he did that, and their music is really interesting, very different from what they did back then, isn't it?
Well, they pretty consistently put out pretty great music, I'd say. Like, almost all of their albums have got at least one song that I'm just like, yeah. Like Love Paint was awesome, and oh god, what was that? Oh, there was like a crazy dubsteppy one that was really good. I can't remember the name of right now. Yeah, of course, most precious song ever.
I my favorite song is Deja Vu, basically from from like that is just I think somebody on Weekly Idol said, who's the guy who was in the same group as Zaya, who was in Zaya and just Kwangi, yeah. And I mean, like, he's so funny, and I think he's a great addition to the Weekly Idol panel. I personally love him on Weekly Idol. Anyway, so he said something really cool, actually, that kind of in the back of my head I also thought that when he heard Deja Vu, he thought that this song cannot come out purely from a Korean from a Korean producer duo or trio, while in reality it was written by Baeko. Deja Vu was written by him, and then I was like, that is such a progressive, interesting sound. I was like, I believe in the Korean entertainment industry, and I was like, great, that is just such a great song. So NÜIST is doing great, and I actually cannot wait for the next stuff that they put out. So we're gonna jump on some new, not so new. We're gonna jump on some more random 2000s and see you very shortly.